everybody. Thank you so much for joining us here on Inspiring Time with Juliet this afternoon here in England. It might be morning where you are, so good morning. It might be evening time where you are. Good evening. I hope you're doing well. I hope all is well with you, but just remember that in everything, God is in control. God is still on the throne. We are here on Inspiring Time with Juliet to inspire you and also to just kind of make you think and to create an awareness of what is going on within the African community. I hope you're enjoying our program, and thank you for keep joining me on every week. And I would like you to just sit back today, get your friends and also invite them on Facebook. Kind of share the program and do comments as we go on, because we are looking at a very, very significant topic today, and that is infertility. And what has it got to do with the African culture? How do we actually appraise this? I'm just so looking forward to this program. I've been thinking about this. I've been looking and preparing, and the more I look into it, the more I get so excited in my spirit. I don't know your experiences about infertility. I don't know if you know someone that has gone through that problem, that has gone through that issue, condition, wherever it is, in the past. And also, if you know of anybody that is actually going through it at the moment, please do invite them. And also do kind of share it and invite them to join in, because this program is going to really enlighten and educate as much as possible. So I've got a very wonderful guest today, and I can't wait to hear from him. Before I introduce him, what is infertility? We're going to have a look at what is infertility, and we're going to look at what are the symptoms of infertility, and what does it cause, and also when do you need to see the doctors and things like that, things that have to do with infertility and fertility as a whole. So do sit back, get a cup of tea, let's just enjoy the program. Okay, so I'm going to use this opportunity to introduce my guest today. His name is Brian Mujuru. He's a pastor, a father, and he's a husband, and he's a friend, a brother. And my goodness, this gentleman is gone through infertility, and he knows what he's talking about. If there's anyone that you have to hear from today, it's him, because he has gone through it firsthand, so he can tell you firsthand the experience of infertility. And I am so happy, so privileged to have him on my program today, Mr. Pastor Brian Mujuru. You're welcome.
Amen. Thank you so much for having me, Juliet. It's a great honor, and just want to welcome everybody who's watching. And it is a great topic to be talking about, and I'm so excited that I have this opportunity just to share with the viewers out there what I went through, and hopefully somebody will pick something up and learn from my experience as well.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So we're going to start with looking at what infertility is all about, and we're just going to try to explain it as much as we can. If there is any question, just put it and post it on the comments box, and we'll try and answer them as well as we go on. So what is infertility? It's just the inability to have your children, have any child, conceive naturally, because some people have got that problem, and it affects 1 in 7 people, 1 in 7 couple, in United Kingdom at the moment, and in United States is 1 in 10. 1 in 10 couples in the United States at the moment. So it is a very significant thing, and is actually kind of quite common at the moment. And people that go through it have go through stress. They are so much affected by it. It affects every area of their life. So that is why this topic is really significant. I know we're talking about it on a Valentine's Day, but it's really a very important topic. So that whatever you are doing, okay, or however you are enjoying yourself, you're actually looking at and thinking about infertility as well. So what is infertility? Like I said to you, it is the inability to have children or to conceive naturally, and it affects quite a few people out there. If you and your partner are struggling to have a baby, you're not alone. There's quite a few people that has been affected out there. So it could be as a result of maybe the partner, it could be the wife, it could be the husband, it could be both. Okay, or it has nothing to do with both of you, because some people still go on, and at the end of the day, they're still able to have children at the end of the day. Some people, it takes them a little while to have children. Some people, it doesn't. So, but if you have gone through 1 year, maybe, more than that, after you've been married and you've been, trying to have a child and you haven't been able to, it's actually considered to be infertility at that point. So, for the women, it could be a sign of hormonal problems, hormonal changes, and it could affect women between the age of 35 to 40. And if you are in that age group and you haven't been able to conceive, for 6 months or longer, then that means that you're quite maybe infertile. You should seek to see the doctor. What do you want to add to that?
I think you said it rightly. I think it's so very important just to realize that infertility is just the inability to conceive the natural way.
Yes.
And there's a lot of help that is out there, but there are different types of symptoms, signs and symptoms that are actually can be seen differently from men and women. And I can speak from my point of view in terms of a man, what I had to go through. Obviously, as a man, they had to do a lot of sperm counts. They had to do a lot of these tests just to see if my sperm and semen were kind of okay. So those are some of the tests that they have to do. And of course, in terms of the women, they have to go through a lot of tests. I think they also have to do x-rays of the ovum and all those kind of tests just to make sure that they find out, is there a physical problem that's preventing you from having a child. And once they eradicate that, they can help you in whatever way that you can. But I think it's a very important topic where we need to get the message out there to say that, look, you cannot suffer alone. If you're able to start having an awareness of what's happening, read about it. One of the things that I also encourage, because like you said, I'm a pastor, I encourage a lot of my members to start reading about it. If you've been trying for a child and you're not feeling well, or you feel certain changes in your body, you know what, talk about it with your partner and even visit the GP, and then begin to understand that there are some of these signs and symptoms that you can identify that can, if picked up early, treatment is available, and you'll be able to conceive with support from the doctors and all. Yeah.
That's great. That is absolutely great. So it's really creating an awareness that if you are going through that if you are going through that at all, infertility, you have to start reading about it. It's important that you get yourself educated about what is going on, what is happening to your body, what is happening to your partner, and what information that is out there, and how you can get some help. So we're looking at women, and we're saying one of the symptoms or one of the kind of signs that you're probably infertile is the fact that you're probably having irregular periods. Your periods are not regular, is coming in between, and also sometimes you do see it, sometimes you don't see it, and also sometimes it's quite painful during, when you're going through your period. It's very, very painful. That is one sign that you could be infertile. It's not one of the reasons, but it could be, it could affect your fertility. So, and some women also that are diagnosed with endometritis, that is the pelvic inflammation disease. So it is important that you keep an eye on that, because that could cause infertility as well. Some women have gone through multiple miscarriages in the past, that could cause infertility as well. So if you have undergone cancer in the past or undergoing cancer, it could also affect you as a woman. So as a man, like Pastor Brian has mentioned, if your sperm count is actually low, or you have a problem with your sperm count, it could affect your fertility ability to conceive. If there is any history of testicular, prostate, and sexual problems in the past, cancers and stuff like that, if you have undergone treatment of cancer as well, testicles, if they are small or they're swelling around the scrotum area, those are the signs that you could be infertile as well. So as a family, okay, so there could be some issues within the family as well. It could be hereditary problems. If people have problems with conceiving as a family, it could be one of the reasons why people are also infertile. So real experiences. Tell me, I know you have gone through this in the past. What is your overall experience when you were going through this? Because I've been trying to get, kind of know more about Pastor Brian. And my goodness, the more I know about it, the more I so much admire this gentleman. Tell me, what did you go through? How did you, what happened, when you first get married and
It was a difficult situation. I think today I'm going to try and remove my pastor's hat, and I think I'm going to try and then talk about this issue as a person who actually went through this troubling time. Originally I'm from Africa. I'm from Zimbabwe, and I came here in the late 1990s here to England. Eventually got married, and I'm also the firstborn in my family, and the first son, and first and only son in my family. So already there, in cultural sense, there's already pressure. As the firstborn and as the firstborn son, already number one, you need to get married, you need to have children to keep the family name going. So I eventually got married to my wife, who happens to be from Zimbabwe as well. And we got married, and first few months, obviously, the pressures begin. When parents, friends, relatives begin to ask, so when are we expecting? So when is the boy coming? When is this coming? And 1 year passed and there was no child. 2 years passed and there was no child. 5 years passed, there was no child. And 10 years passed and there was no child. And it was a stressful situation for us.
10 years.
10 years of I will tell people that we went through, literally we went through hell. Our relationship was under pressure, and it's by God's grace. It's by God's grace that we survived that. In the early days, obviously, for us, we did not know where to go to because our culture dictates that obviously, if it's anything to do with inability to have children, majority of the time it is thrown to blame the women. So we didn't know who we talk to. We're a modern couple. We were a modern couple, so a lot of the cultural things we took, some of them with a pinch of salt, but we didn't know where to go to. We felt if we go and speak to our parents about it, it would be blown out of proportion. And we also felt we felt that there was nothing wrong with ourselves as well. That was the other thing. We felt that there was nothing wrong with ourselves, and we felt by going to seek medical attention, we are actually confirming that there's something wrong, which was actually the wrong route to take. So it took us quite a number of years. I think it took us almost about 4 or 5 years before we realized that something was wrong. We eventually went to seek advice from our GP.
I know. Before you tell us what what the steps that you took to get some help, what was the atmosphere between you or the family? What was going on? Was anything said? Did anyone say any embarrassing stuff? What was the experience you had? What was the vibes and
It was intense. In the beginning,
is that from your family members, from friends,
family, friends, people who knew us, and sometimes people in church. It began in a joking way. People were joking, how long do you want to wait to have children? Come on, you're not getting any younger. And the longer we didn't have any children, the more you'd hear people talking in corners to say, what's happening? Then they don't have any children. In the family, people would make jokes about you, or when people are talking about children and then you enter the room, that conversation would stop and people would start talking about something else. I remember a family member used to sing about the problem that we have, making it in a funny way. And such things were happening, and I think our parents would also ask us indirectly to say, so do you want me to die without holding my grandson? Or do you want me to die without holding a child? And that put a lot of pressure on both of us, especially towards the 5-6 year mark, where our relationship again began to be under pressure. We started just arguing. We started just starting to blame each other in subtle ways to say maybe it's you kind of thing. And those are some of the things that happened. A lot of pressure. Our friends as well. They'll be asking in a subtle way. So come on, guys, what's happening? Our children are growing older now. I've got teenagers now. What's happening with you? Why are you waiting? You are this modern couple. You guys are these modern couples. That's what people used to tell us.
That's a disguise, isn't
You're
it?
modern couples. You're waiting until everything is set. But by that time, Juliet, we were pretty okay, financially. We had steady jobs. We had bought our first house, and we were not struggling. With both cars, everything was in line, but there was that one thing missing, that inability to have children. That child was missing. So that stress as well to say we've prepared everything for our child. You know, we've got steady jobs, we've got everything, we are ready for this. So where is this child? And that added pressure and stress from friends, from family. It's so amazing how sometimes, you know, even your mother can cause you more stress by just telling you, you know, asking you that simple question: do you want me to die without holding
a grandchild?
A grandchild.
Isn't that kind of amazing? Because do you think, from your own experience, do you think that our own culture, there's a way, is the way we deal with infertility in our culture, African culture, is different from the way Westerners deal with infertility? Do you think it's the same experiences that people have to go through, or do you think it's different from our culture, where we come from?
I think it's different. I think we number one, I think as Africans, we are very proud of our culture and heritage, just like the West are proud of their culture and heritage. And I think it goes back to our fathers and our forefathers, how they brought us up. Our culture with regards to infertility is very damning, to be frank. I think I'll use that word. It's very damning, especially to women. We grew up as young men being told that you know, you get married, you have a child, your wife submits to you, and you alone, you're the head of the household, and nothing your wife says matters, but only what you say matters. So already culture had put a lot of emphasis on I am the man, I'm the alpha man, nothing I say, I can never do anything wrong. And so when it comes to inability to have children, the first person to get blamed is always the wife. And this is what it is in our cultural sense. You see a lot of the women get blamed, and if they're having problems in that, what do first? They go to see these witch doctors and places like that to say, look, we're not having any children. We believe that is the wife. Something wrong with their family or something like that.
Is the expectation from a black African family that once you get married, the next thing, you know, should be having children? This is the expectation, of the parents, you know, from both families as well. So that expectation then, you know, kind of gives room for pressure and also stress, especially if you've gone through 6 months, 12 months without having a child. You know, then it kind of brings that pressure, and people will start making comments, you know, kind of funny, cynical comments about you not having any child in the house. Like Pastor Brown has just said, they were fine. They had everything and they were ready to have a child, you know, welcome a child in the home, but they did not. They couldn't bring, you know, they couldn't have a child of their own at that moment. Thank you, Erin, for joining us. Erin says most times men are the causes of childlessness in marriages, but they always they always put the blame on the women. That is true, especially in our culture. We just feel that, you know, it's the women that is the problem. At first, we don't even kind of consider the man at all at first. And Dave Victor says wearing tight-fitting underwear can cause infertility in men. Yes, is one of the reasons why we're going to be touching base on that as well. One of the reasons why people, men especially, do have, you know, fertility problems is because they wear too much tight clothing around the area. So thank you very much for those that are joining us still here on Inspiring Time with Juliet. We're looking at infertility in our African culture. So there is a difference between the way we Africans handle infertility. What are the differences? How do we actually handle it? Let's just talk about it, you know, as a man, as a man married, and you're an African man. Okay, how do you handle it? What is the pressures there?
So I think it's different as an African person, as an African man. How I grew up. Remember, we spoke about culture being the pinnacle of how we grow up as African men. This is instilled in us, is drilled in us. So already as a man, I'm the alpha man. So if I'm not having that problem of having a child, number one, stress comes into play.
That's right.
You're stressed. That expectation that you spoke about, you're not feeding into that expectation. So already you're stressed. Number two, how do I deal with it? Majority of the people you see start drinking alcohol, start abusing illicit drugs. Number 3, you begin to see men moving away from the house, from the marital house, starting to have other, in Zimbabwe we call them small houses. That is another relationship that is unofficially, is kind of an unofficial relationship where you're having an affair, you're going there having sex and all those other things. So those things start, and they also give rise to disease. Sometimes you get blame culture. You start blaming even without knowing that where the problem is. You start blaming your wife, blaming your family, her family, blaming where she came from, and those things. And one of the other things again is just you just start isolating yourself. It's not spending time at home, drinking that alcohol, and it just causes havoc within the household. And those are some of the things that our culture has fed into, that as a man, the problem is not you. The problem is the woman. And we've actually fed into that, and we continue to feed into that. And I think this is why we are here, just to try and bring awareness out there that, look, if it's happening to you, it is not about your wife. Work together. And one of the things that we are taught never to do is to discuss such things like this. You can never discuss intimate things like this with your family, especially with my father. I remember growing up, there's some things I could never talk to him. It's not that I couldn't, but it's because our culture sometimes dictated that you can't ask some of these questions. So if you're struggling with your wife, if you're struggling as a man, already culture dictates that you need to kind of pull up your socks and man up and move with it. So that's why you see all this physical abuse again, that goes in. You start abusing your wife emotionally, physically. So those are some of the things that men go through. And I think it's vice versa for women as well. They go through, they are especially on the receiving end of this, of the abuse, the torture, the isolation. I was reading research where not only in African cultures, but also other cultures in Asia, where they then isolate that particular woman without even checking who has the problem. They isolate this woman, they remove her from the homestead, they find another wife for their male child. And if the problem continues, they still believe that it's the woman who's got the problem. And these are the issues that we need to come to light during your program here.
Yeah, we need to be aware that the issue might not be the woman.
That's right.
Okay, it could be the man himself as well. And it could be both couples, you know. And also, it might not have anything to do with both of them. It's just a matter of time. Because there are some people that after a while, they do conceive eventually.
That's right.
You know, it's a matter of being patient, being aware, and also trying to read about infertility, childlessness, and also looking at ways that you can counteract that. One of the things that we're going to be discussing in our program also is how to deal with it, what you should be doing, some of the risk factors, and how to avoid those risk factors. We're going to take a few minutes break, and when we come back, we're going to look at that as well. And also, we're going to look at what the Bible says about infertility. Where can you get your help from? Okay, can you pray? Can you get a result? And then we're going to be hearing more from Pastor Brian, how he dealt and how we prayed and how we got his breakthrough. We'll be back in a few minutes. Speak to you soon.
Ever wondered how certain people can earn up to £500 a day as a project management or business analysis professional? Even after tax, you can save up for a house and buy your partner nice gifts. According to the Labour Force survey, unemployment rates among graduates is high because they lack labour market experience. Meet Sally. Before applying for work, she felt it was important to gain practical work experience by shadowing seasoned and experienced project managers and business analysts. She found Career Insights. Career Insights delivers intensive weekly and weekend hands-on training sessions in project management and business analysis. 12 weeks later, Sally starts applying for work and within days secures a number of job interviews and eventually secures her first contract role, paying £350 a day as a PMO analyst. We're Career Insights and we make success stories out of people. With over 2,000 placements and loads of success stories, our candidates work for major blue-chip companies. We're in the business of changing lives. So how can we help you? Your work experience will cover managing and analysing web and mobile applications, giving you the opportunity to shadow experienced professionals in the field until you're able to successfully lead and manage your own team. Unlike other training companies where your session ends after a week, we automatically secure you a work placement with a leading digital tech company.
We've been talking about infertility and how we handle it as African people, families, how African couples handle infertility, what the pressures are, if you are infertile or found to be childless after a while, after having been married, some of the pressures that people go through. And we've been hearing from Pastor Brian, who had to experience it firsthand. He was married for 10 years without any child, and the pressures that came from the families, the pressures that came from the friends, and all the pressures that came from people around him, even within the home, within the household as well, the pressures that they had to go through. What we're doing today is to create an awareness. We're not saying that we have all the answers, but we're trying to kind of explain and let you know that these pressures ought not to be there if people are aware, and also if people are a little bit more educated about infertility, what could be the cause of the infertility, and the fact that there is some help out there as well. And also is also to let you know that there are some things, some risk factors and things that could actually prevent you from having a child that you need to be aware of. It's a matter of being aware of these things, reading and educating yourself, and not being ignorant about the issue. So that when you are now ready to have a child, or if you are going through it, you know where to have where to get help from. So we're going to be looking at some of the risk factors of infertility, some of the reasons why people are infertile. If you look at people's age as well, if you are getting to the age of maybe 40, and as a woman, my goodness, you should be thinking about having a child if you haven't kind of thought about it, because the later you leave it, the more the chances of you having a child is reduced. And even for men as well, men that are over 40 years may be less fertile than men that are younger. Okay, and the ladies, your own chance drops as soon as you hit 37. That's what the research says. And you're able to your ability to produce eggs and keep them and remain fertile is reduced at that time, and you'll be approaching a period of menopause. And we know that once you hit menopause, your chances is even more reduced. And people also that are using tobacco, people that smoke a lot, research has shown that it reduces your chance of having children. And also people that smoke, like take drugs and alcohol and things like that, also reduces your chance of conceiving, because obviously this kind of lifestyle leads to miscarriages, and it's more frequent. Miscarriages are more frequent with women that do smoke. That's what research says. So please be careful. The level of alcohol in your system as well will actually reduce your chances of conceiving. So be careful too as a woman, because the alcohol use increases the risk of birth defect in children. So once there are defects, the chances of it coming out as miscarriage is high as well. So is there anything that you want to add to that as we kind of look into the risk factors?
I think those are the main ones. That's the obvious ones that you look at. Obviously, age is so very important. Research also shows that beginning of your 20s, both male and female, that's when you're more fertile. And then towards approaching 30, approaching the late 30s towards 40, men, I think about 45 plus, that's when you become less fertile. So you need to utilize that time period as well. Start having families early. You begin to see as well, most professionals who are married tend to want to get all, we want to set our life right. We want to buy the car, we want to buy the house. They want to make sure things are in place before they have their children. And you begin to see that for professionals, they tend to have children later, and they're the ones sometimes who struggle to have children. And then, of course, you spoke there about lifestyle, things like tobacco, alcohol. Those things, again, reduce you from having children. We also have things like diseases, like sexually transmitted diseases.
Yes, right.
That's one of the most important things that I feel a lot of our youth out there need to be aware of. Be safe, abstain or be safe, because there's some diseases like chlamydia which will disrupt, or they'll even reduce the percentage of you having children. They'll destroy your reproductive organs, and that is going to limit you. So diseases like chlamydia, syphilis, those things, sexually active people need to either stop having sex as young teenagers or be safe. And this is one of the things that myself and my wife have been encouraging, especially the youth in my church, to abstain and think about the future, because it is about the future. When you are young, you don't think about having children, but when the time comes, your past sometimes will come back to haunt you. And I think another issue again is about your weight, your diet. What are you eating? There's some things that we eat, that we put in our body, that are not healthy. They don't add value to our body. They don't help our body to actually produce sometimes the chemicals, or give our organs that ability to actually conceive. So be mindful of what you're eating. And I think if you're even not sure about what to do, you can also get help. Go on the internet, but go to websites that are very, very recognizable for you to kind of get that help that you need.
I mean, you did mention being overweight as well, and so in watching what you're eating.
That's true.
I mean, if you're planning on getting married, having children, and things like that, it is really, really important that you start looking at your diet, because it can hinder you from getting pregnant as quickly as you want to. And also, if you are in the process of also having children or wanting to get conceived, try to take things like folic acid and stuff like that. It does help to increase your ability to conceive. And being underweight, we talked about being overweight. Being underweight as well can also affect your ability to have a child. So it's important that you watch your weight and make sure that you are within the normal weight range for yourself, for your height, and and everything else. And also make sure that you are asking questions. You're seeing the doctors. You go and see your GP. See the doctors. If you think that you have any issue, if you think that you've gone through a period of 6 months, 12 months that you haven't been able to conceive, don't leave it for a long time, because it could be something that could be easily handled and sorted out. Instead of leaving it for a long period of time, go see someone and ask questions and get help that is out there. I believe there is quite a few people that are watching, that are taking things in, people that can go in and also get help, and I also advise other people as well on where to get help. Okay, so let's go back to personal experience. So how did you deal with infertility?
Wow, that is a huge question. And from us, when we found out that we were not able to have children, we obviously we made a decision to start asking questions. So the first thing that we did was we went to our local GP to say, look, we've been trying for so many years to have children, and we're not sure what's happening. We believe that we're all fine. We've never had any problems with any diseases, or because one of the things that I knew as a health professional was about how sexual STIs would prevent you from having children, especially if you're infected. So we laid everything on the table and said, this is how we are, but we're not sure why we're not having problems. We've changed the way we eat, we've changed our lifestyle, we've stopped drinking alcohol and all those things, and we're not sure what is happening. So number one, we went to the GP. They began to do tests just to try and see what's happening. We also, in the midst of all that, started to look at the African way of treating things, which is going to our not local here in England, but we actually traveled to Zimbabwe just to seek advice from a spiritual man who's not obviously a Christian, like a witch doctor, sangoma. I don't know what you call it in your country.
Yeah, the witch doctors, isn't it? So the traditional medicine and stuff.
Men, yes. So basically, the traditional medicine men, where they will tell you to do this, to do that, and they will tell you, I can see the baby, but what you need to do is ABC. You do ABC and nothing comes.
Doesn't work. So
we did some of those things. We also read literature about, I'm sure we've got a mature audience, and I can go a little bit deep. Some of the literature we were reading was about, trying different sexual positions. Some of it was trying eating different foods. Some tell you that chocolate, asparagus will add flavor and improve the chances of you actually conceiving. We also had information about certain mini gods that if you get them, if you put them in certain positions within the house, that will have. So these were acts of desperate people who were actually trying to conceive. And again, we spoke to different friends who say, is there anything or anyone you know that can help us? I think at the back of our mind, back then, we'd heard about it, IVF, we'd heard about it, but we'd never actually thought about it. All we knew was that it was expensive, and so we never had time to do research about that. So that was again at the back of our mind.
Are they saying that many people will ignorantly focus on prayers instead of seeking medical help? Probably that's what you went through during the time as well, looking at other ways of sorting it out instead of seeking medical help.
For me personally, I wasn't. I grew up in the church, but I wasn't a practicing Christian when I was going through that challenge for those 10 years. So I do agree with what he's saying, because I do believe that our medical model should work together with the things of God.
That's right.
When you pray, don't just sit there and say, I've prayed. No, there are some things that you need to do. Some of the things that you were speaking about reducing the risk factors, age, start early to try have children, your lifestyle, sexually transmitted diseases, don't be promiscuous. All those things, if you do the right things, to try and increase your chances, I think it can help. Together, if you're spiritual, like myself, and I'm sure Juliet as well, if you're spiritual, also use that together with some of the things that you need. Because I think the mistake that we make, especially as Christians, is that once we send it all to God, that's enough. No, there's something that you need to do. I mean, I'm a pastor, I don't want to start preaching here, but I think there is also something that you need to do. We know Hannah as well in the Bible. She was having a similar problem. Abraham, he was having a similar problem. They prayed, but they had to do something. They had to do the actual act of believing God for a child. They had to have sex. They didn't just pray and say, that's it. There are some things that you too need to do to improve the chances of you conceiving.
Yeah. That's really, really wonderful. I'm just reading out what Erin said as well. Erin said, untreated STDs can also cause infertility. Absolutely, that's what we've been talking about. Yes, some sexually transmitted diseases can cause infertility.
That's right.
So this is how you dealt with it. You had to look for help.
Yeah.
And even though you were looking at the wrong places,
we looked at the right places. We looked at the wrong places, and I think towards the tail end of the 10 years, this is. From about year 5, year 6, that's when we started, seeking help. The doctors would tell us, change your diet. I think around that time, I also stopped drinking completely. We started eating right, and they will tell you things like you need to increase your, the amount of times that you have sex. So, I mean, it was a big challenge, Juliet. I won't lie to you, it was a big challenge. Imagine. There's a period of time where we were literally having sex every day of the week. It was now about procreation rather than being sex about a man and wife loving. It was now about we just need to do this to get pregnant.
It has to be
it lost value.
Yes.
And so those were some of the crazy things that we did. And I think towards the tail end of the 10 years, that's where I happened to but I was introduced to one church where at that time I didn't want to go to church. I did not want to hear anything about church. But at that particular time, I got introduced to a particular church, which I'm now a pastor as well in, and decided.
Isn't that wonderful? You just bumped into this church, and now he's a pastor, and he got his breakthrough. Amen. My goodness!
So those are some of the things that we did. So around that time, the doctors were saying, "Oh, we can't see anything." And around the tail end of the 10 years, they were now discussing possibility of IVF and all those other treatments.
Yes.
So we decided just to go to church. We heard about a particular man of God who God had put his grace upon his life. He prayed, people were getting healings. And back then I was a very skeptical young man. I didn't believe in all this touching prayer and whatever it is. So that particular day I decided to go and drop my wife. I said, you go first. I'll drop you and then I'll go to the pub. Have a few drinks and come and pick you up later. But it so happened that I went. I stayed. My mom was still around that time, and that's another thing. Imagine my mother was around for some of the 10 years that she was here in England, and that's added pressure. You're in the house with your mother. You're not even able to conceive, so it's added a lot of pressure. But fast forward, went to church that particular day, and the man of God prayed for me. I mean, now we are going into some of the spiritual aspects of trying to conceive. The man of God prayed for me, and something amazing happened. God touched me. I never used to believe, but God touched me. I remember going on the floor, and the power of God just hit me. I couldn't wake up. I was shaking uncontrollably. I was crying. I couldn't stop crying. And from then on, something inside said, your life has changed. And
was it after she's been going for a while, your wife, or did you go together the second visit?
This was the first visit.
Right. So you dropped her, went to the pub, and then...
No. What happened is, okay, prior to that,
yes.
I know our time is probably not too long, but I'll try and give you a brief synopsis.
Yeah.
Prior to that, my wife had been going to different types of churches, church here, church there. You have this pastor, you go, you hear these white garment churches as well, all different types of churches, but I wasn't going. I was saying, you go to your God. I don't believe in that. I don't believe in that anymore, even though I grew up in church. So this particular church, which I'm now a member of, which is the Kingdom Church, we heard about it, and I decided, you know what, I'll drop you off, because they had a night service, I think, an evening service. I said, look, I'll drop you off with my mother, and then I'll come and pick you up after the service. But then when we got there, they convinced me, my mom and my wife convinced me to stay. So I said, all right, I'll stay. After the service, we'll go home, I'll drop you off, and then I'll go to the pub, probably about 12 p.m. So it just so happened that I stayed, and the man of God began, preaching, ministering, and he prayed for me, laid his hands on me. I went on the floor, started shaking, like I was saying, uncontrollably. The power of God hit me. I was so confused. What happened to me? What is happening to me? Something inside of me says, you've changed. I remember going home that particular day, clearing my liquor cupboard. All my liquor, all my alcohol, I threw it in the sink, said, I need to go back to this church. There's something that happened that particular Friday. I need to go back. So we went back, I think we went on the Friday, and we went back on the Sunday, and same thing happened. This time he didn't touch me.
Wow.
This time he didn't touch me. I was standing in the front, and he didn't touch me. He just came, and he was about to lay his hands on my head. I fell. Nobody pushed me. I literally fell on my back. I remember somebody catching me. And I don't even know what happened from then. I remember just shaking, just crying, just shaking. At one point, I tried to stand up. I couldn't stand up, fell down. I bought the DVD after, because they sell the teaching. So I bought the DVD, and I saw that I was on the floor for an hour and a half.
Wow.
Of shaking and shaking and shaking. So that was the beginning of the journey for me in terms of understanding who God was, what God could do in my life. And I began going to church. The great servant of God began praying for us, encouraging us to, just to love God, believe without a doubt that God could do something for us. And it didn't take a year, less than a year of us going to church, believing God. I surrendered. I think number one thing that people need to understand is we don't need to be half in, half out.
That's
surrender
right.
yourself.
You have to completely in.
You need to completely surrender yourself to say, God, I put my life in your hands. Whatever happens, I trust you. If it doesn't happen, I found you. You've got a plan and you've got a purpose for me in my life. And for us, God opened the door for us. From having 0 children, God blessed us with 3 children. As I'm sitting here, I've got 3 children. My oldest son is about to turn 6. I've got a 4-year-old, and I've got a 2-year-old who's about to turn 3. This is just to let you know that, you know what, there is power in God. And I just want to thank God for what he has done and what he continues to do in my life right now.
There is power in prayers.
Right. That's right.
There's power in salvation.
That's right.
Once you give in your life, once you surrender completely unto God, there's nothing that God cannot do.
That's right.
Okay, he can deal with infertility. And this is what we've been talking about. We've been saying it could be a problem that you don't actually need to do anything. It's just about the simple act of just surrendering unto God and saying, Lord, I give you control of my life. You deal with this, you know, and I am going to completely give my life to you, serve you, and then you're going to see what God is going to do at the end of the end. And Pastor Brian has got 3 children, okay, after going through infertility for 10 years. Now he's a man of God with children. Isn't that wonderful? My goodness, what a way to end the show. Is there any other advice that you want to give to people?
I think one of the things I can tell people out there is that infertility, yes, there are problems that are out there, but we need to use the support that is out there.
Yeah. One of our guests is asking if you took any medication at all.
At that time, we didn't take any medications because remember, it was 10 years, no children, and around about 5-6 year point, we started seeing the GP. We were having tests, having all these X-rays and different types of tests. So it was leading towards that. Some of these tests, sometimes I wouldn't go. I wouldn't be happy about them, but it was leading towards medication. Some of the tests that they didn't show that there was a need for medication. They didn't show that there was a need for medication. They couldn't find anything wrong. Yeah. They just could not find. They were saying, you can't. We are sorry, that is it. So if they had found something, maybe, I suppose if you do your research as well, if they had found something like maybe my wife needed surgery or something, or she needed medication, I needed medication, they could have given us that option. But they didn't give us that option. They just couldn't see anything.
Any reason. They couldn't see it.
They couldn't
but
see
you see,
it.
what you couldn't see, God can see.
That's right.
Isn't that
That's
wonderful?
Right.
And what man cannot do, God can do it. So if you are in that place right now, or you are going through that situation right now, be it infertility, be it anything else, be it sickness, be it anything, you're believing God for financial breakthroughs, and you're believing God to deal with whatever it is, maybe work, unemployment, anything that you're going through right now, He is able. There is power in prayer. Just like Sister Susan said, he said there is power in prayer. And absolutely, there is power in prayer. And it is an amazing testimony. Chido Shashi says it is an amazing testimony, and we give God glory to God. And He is absolutely, He is the one to take all the glory, because what is man? What are we? And we give Him thanks for everything that He's doing, not just in the life of Pastor Brian, but what He would do in your own life as you trust and surrender completely unto Him. We've come to the end of this show today. We don't have any much time left, but I just want to recognize the people that have kind of joined in, and also some of the comments as well. It says, Ade says, wow, seriously? Now I believe miracles still happen. So yes, Ade, miracles still happen in God. And Dakota, thank you so much. We thank God. Amen to that. And then Chido Chazi says, thank you, Pastor Brian, for sharing your story. It is an amazing story, honestly. Each time I hear it, I know that God is absolutely, out there, and He's looking after His own children. And yes, he says, can you ask your guests if any? Yeah, we've already answered that. Prayer is the key, Erin says. Right. Prayer is the key. And they are thanking you, and I'm joining in also to say thank you so much, Pastor Brian, for being in my show on Inspiring Time with Juliet. And I hope you've taken one or two things. What we're doing in the show is to create an awareness. If you're here, if you know, just tell your sister, tell your brother, tell your friend. And I also encourage people to join us every week, because we treat and we go through different type of topics every week that has to do with health, healing, and that has to do with inspiration, how you can move on, how you can deal with some of the topics, some of the things that are being discussed even nationally and worldwide. So thank you for all that have joined today, and I just want to say that may the Lord bless you, and I will see you next week as well, where we'll be looking at another very interesting topic. Keep an eye on my Facebook page. If you're not my friend, just request to be my friend on my Facebook page. Thank you, and God bless you.
Amen. God bless.
Amen.